Discover the heartwarming journey. A scrappy mother found love in the most unexpected place, in the small town of Oakwood, where the sun rises like a promise over streets that have seen generations. Sarah, a 32-year-old single mother, fought to carve out a life for herself and her 2 young children. Each morning at Mabel's kitchen, the local diner, the scent of fresh coffee mingled with the sweet smell of homemade pies, igniting the warmth of memories spent with her husband who had been the heartbeat of their family until he was taken too soon. As she balanced work, kids, and her dreams of becoming a chef, she often felt the weight of whispers that trailed her like shadows, echoing disapproval and doubt. The diner was more than just a paycheck, it was the heart of Oakwood, a place alive with laughter, stories, and the kind of love that wrapped around you like a warm blanket. But now, a corporate giant threatened to strip away that love for flashy eats and cheap prices. Panic wrapped around her like a chokehold. What would happen to Mabel's? And with it, what would become of her dream? Determined to save the diner, Sarah rallied her loyal customers, a cast of colorful townsfolk who shared her love for home-cooked meals and community spirit. Their faces lit up with purpose, igniting a flicker of hope in Sarah's heart. She couldn't shake the feeling that Mabel's was also her last connection to her late husband, an heirloom of love that needed fighting for. In the midst of her efforts arose Jack, a retired school teacher with a voice that commanded respect. Their first conversation had been tense. He believed progress was inevitable, while Sarah stubbornly clung to the roots of local tradition. But as their debates deepened, tension shifted into unexpected camaraderie. Every argument that flared was met with a challenge that left Sarah breathless and, strangely, a little exhilarated. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As a cook-off loomed, it would be their chance to showcase the magic of Mabel's kitchen. The energy buzzing that night was electric, children laughing, friends gathering, and the smell of mouth-watering dishes spread through the air. Sarah stood behind the counter, cooking up a dish that was a love letter to her husband, her hands working as fluidly as her heart raced with possibility. Just then, she caught Jack's gaze, watching her with an intensity that set her pulse racing. It was as if he could see all of her struggles and dreams laid bare. But as the night progressed, a misunderstanding arose, casting doubt on Jack's intentions. That hard-won connection felt fragile now, like glass ready to shatter. As arguments broke out among townsfolk and alliances began to form, uncertainty clouded Sarah's heart. Would her fight to save the diner cost her the hope of what could be with Jack? With whispers fluttering behind her back and the looming threat of losing it all, Sarah was left with one burning question: could she find the strength to reclaim not just Mabel's kitchen but also her own happiness? The air felt heavy with hope and fear weaving together, waiting for the answer that might just change everything. The night wore on, the air thick with emotions and the sizzling sound of pans hitting the stovetop. Sarah's heart raced, not just from the smell of her dish, a creamy chicken pie reminiscent of family dinners, but from the uncertainty surrounding her and Jack. She felt a longing for his presence, yet doubt clouded her mind. Was he really on her side, or merely playing a part in the fight for Mabel's? Mabel's kitchen hummed with life. Friends swapped stories over steaming plates, while children peeked over counters, hoping for a sweet bite. But as whispers grew louder, so did the anxiety curling in Sarah's stomach. Accusations flew like arrows. Corporations care nothing for tradition. One customer shouted, while another countered, change is part of life, folks. Sarah gripped the counter, taking deep breaths to calm her racing heart. Was this how people felt when they let dreams slip away? She watched Jack, who stood tall among the crowd, his voice firm but kind. Sarah admired his passion, even if it felt like a divide separating them. She wanted to reach out, to bridge that gap, but fear wrapped around her heart like chains. With a sudden flash of resolution, she wiped her hands on her apron and stepped toward Jack. Can we talk? She managed, her voice just above the chatter. He turned, surprise flickering across his face before he nodded slowly, falling into step beside her. They moved toward the diner's back patio, where the soft glow of fairy lights created an intimate space apart from the chaos. The flicker of the lights dimmed the world around them, leaving just the two of them facing each other. "Sarah," Jack began, his voice steady yet warm, like a comforting hearth. But she cut him off. "Why do you think I want to fight for this place?" Her voice rattled with emotion. "It's not just food. It's memories, love. It's everything I've lost." Jack's eyes softened, and for a moment, she saw a glimpse of understanding in them. "I know that. But you have to admit, change is necessary. It's not all bad. Look at what we could create together." His words hung in the air, igniting 1,000 thoughts within her. Together? But he was right, they both shared a vision for Mabel's kitchen that could blend the past with the future. Yet, was that enough to save what she loved? Before she could respond, laughter erupted from the front of the diner, pulling their attention back. Children raced by, a joyful reminder of the innocence and hope that enveloped this place. I can't do this without risking everything. I'm scared." Her voice broke, vulnerability spilling out like an open wound. Jack stepped closer, the sincerity in his eyes piercing through the fog of fear. "We'll face it together. Let me help you, Sarah. But you need to trust me." His plea resonated deep within her. The part of her that ached for connection, for something more, began to stir. But uncertainty still held her back. As they shared a moment of silence, the weight of their futures pressed down around them. It was a challenge, a leap of faith that could unite them or draw them apart. With the cook-off looming and everything on the line, Sarah had to make a choice. Could she open her heart again? As she held Jack's gaze, something shifted within her. She wanted to say yes, but fear of losing everything she held dear loomed large. Would she take a chance on love and community, or let the moment slip away with the night? The tension crackled in the air, a question hanging between them, waiting for an answer that could change not just Mabel's kitchen, but their lives forever. The moment hung, thick with unspoken words. The laughter of children drifted softly, punctuated by the occasional clink of glasses and the warm hum of conversation that flowed back in from the kitchen. It was like a lifeline that pulled Sarah back from the brink of her swirling thoughts. Jack watched her, his expression a mix of concern and hope. "I know it's scary, but the people here believe in you. They want to keep Mabel alive, and you're the heart of that." She felt warmth tingling at the edges of her fear. Could she really be the heart? In her mind, Mabel's kitchen had always been about her grandmother's legacy, the love woven into every recipe and every meal shared around the table. "You don't understand." Sarah took a deep breath, trying to organize her feelings. "It's not just about winning the cook-off to save the diner, Jack. It's about keeping Mabel's spirit alive. If we lose this place, it feels like I'm losing a piece of her all over again." Jack's eyes softened further. "I've seen how much she meant to you. That's why I'm here. I want to help you turn this into something that honors her while also embracing what's next." For the first time, Sarah sensed a flicker of possibility. What if they could create something neither of them had imagined? A space that celebrated the past but also welcomed the vibrancy of the future. "I don't want to just put a band-aid on it, you know," she murmured, but a tiny spark in her chest urged her to consider it. "Then let us not. Let us build something new with her spirit guiding us." His voice had that earnestness to it that made her want to believe in him, in the diner, in her dreams. "But what if we fail?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. "What if you fly?" Jack said, his voice rising just slightly, turning into their little shared secret. And for a brief moment, they both saw it, a vision of the diner bursting with life, laughter, and the smell of incredible food that brought people together. Suddenly, the clamor from the dining room burst into a more frantic energy, followed by a shout of dismay. A crowd started gathering at the entrance of the diner. Sarah and Jack exchanged worried glances, and instinctively they moved toward the chaos. As they stepped back inside, panic painted the faces around them. A gentleman stood by the front counter, his face flushed as he pointed an accusing finger. "There's a rat in the kitchen," he yelled, his voice booming like thunder. Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by murmurs of disbelief and horror. The kitchen, the heart of Mabel's, was under siege. "What is going on?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with dread. Jack scanned the frenetic scene before answering, "We need to calm everyone down and make sure no one leaves." Sarah's mind raced as she felt the walls encroach on her spirit. The cook-off was just days away. How could they manage this chaos? But Jack reached for her hand, grounding her once again. "You can do this, Sarah. We'll face this together." A surge of determination sparked within her. Here was an unexpected challenge, one that could unite the diner once more, despite the chaos. With her heart racing and the weight of the community's eyes on her, Sarah squared her shoulders. Let us show them what Mabel's kitchen stands for. What awaited them as they took the lead, prepared to unearth the truth? The night had barely begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. The moment she stepped back into the buzzing chaos of the diner, adrenaline surged through Sarah's veins. All eyes zeroed in on her, a kaleidoscope of disbelief, fear, and curiosity. The weight of their expectations pressed down hard, but somehow Jack's hand clasped tightly around hers made her feel like she could take on the world. "Okay, everyone, let us take a breath," she called out, trying to project calmness despite her frantic heart. "We're going to handle this." The crowd murmured, some nodding while others looked skeptical. That doubt. It hung in the air like the smell of burnt toast. She felt it crawl under her skin. "Jack, what should we do?" Jack took a deep breath, his blue eyes steady and reassuring. "Let us check the kitchen. We need to understand what's really going on," he said, urgency threading through his tone. As they pushed through the throng of patrons, Sarah felt like she was walking into battle. The kitchen door swung open, revealing the familiar chaos of pots and pans, but now it felt foreign, infected with an air of panic. The chef, Frank, stood beside the stove, his brow dripping with sweat. "I swear it was here. I saw it scurry. This might ruin us before the cook-off." His voice was a mixture of frustration and sheer terror. Sarah's heart sank. "Frank, breathe. Let's find out what really happened." As they searched the corners of the kitchen, Sarah's mind raced. A rat could destroy their credibility, and she'd been fighting tooth and nail to keep Mabel's reputation intact. A low growl erupted from behind the fridge, and moments later, there was a small, scruffy creature, darting out for a moment before slipping back into the shadows. "See? I told you!" Frank shouted, his hands flailing as if he could drive a point home. Jack moved closer, steadying Sarah's shaking hand. "We need to set traps, and clean this area. A rat's presence doesn't mean your food is tainted." He shot a glance at Frank. "We just need to act fast. You think they'll believe us?" Frank's voice was tight, the fear unsettling in his eyes. Sarah's heart ached at the despair surrounding her. "We're going to make them believe," she said, her voice stronger now. "Everyone loves Mabel's for more than just the food. They love the stories, the memories. We just need to show them we can overcome this." Jack nodded, a fierce resolve coming over him. "Let us rally the staff. Everyone needs to pitch in. We are turning this around." They burst back into the dining area, a fresh energy flowing between them, mingling with the trepidation of the crowd. "Everybody! We need your help." Sarah's voice rang out, slicing through the murmur of worry. "We're going to take action, and we want you with us." Whispers turned to nods and murmurs of support swept through the people. Slowly, they began to believe. It was amazing how quickly a community could shift from doubt to trust when a spark ignited. As they organized teams, with Jack directing the volunteers while Sarah talked to the online customers, she felt a sense of purpose solidifying her place in this diner. It was like Mabel herself was guiding them, her ghost infusing them with courage. But even with the surge of teamwork, Sarah's mind couldn't shake the thought, what if the damage was too great? It felt like every moment rolled toward the cook-off, ticking away like a countdown clock. An hour later, the kitchen buzzed with energy, almost cleaner than before. Sarah felt light, laughter and hope mingling with the scent of cleaning supplies. But then, a thought crept back into her mind, heavy and cold. Jack, what if no one shows up to the cook-off? His expression faltered, but only for a second. You can't think like that. You have to believe in this place, in yourself. But doubt had found its way back into her heart, and as she peered into the busy streets outside, she felt uncertainty bloom anew. What if this didn't work? With so much at stake, the race against time had just begun, but Sarah was already feeling the weight of the outcome looming ever closer. Were they strong enough to seize this moment together, or would the sands of time slip away too quickly? As she took a deep breath, preparing to address the collected crowd again, she knew one thing for sure, she needed to believe, if not just for her, then for Mabel S. What would it take for her to let go of that fear and trust the journey ahead? Sarah stood at the front of the diner, her heart thumping in her chest like a drum. The energy in the room felt electric, a tangible wave of hope surrounding her. She scanned the faces in front of her, each one a part of the community she had fought for, and each one now looking back at her with a mix of anticipation and resolve. All right, team. We have just a couple hours before the cook-off, she announced, her voice rising above the chatter. I know today has started off rough, but we have a chance to show our love for Mabel S., and more importantly, for each other. Sarah stepped back momentarily, taking a mental picture of the scene. The kitchen was alive, staff hustling about, some organizing ingredients while others prepared the dining area. The camaraderie was infectious. Jack stood beside her, ready to take charge if need be. With renewed determination, she took a step forward again. Let us break into teams. We need one group to finish cleaning, another to prepare the dishes we'll present, and a third to get this place filled with customers. Frank nodded vigorously. I'll clean the kitchen. I might be panicked earlier, but I know these recipes like the back of my hand. Perfect. Sarah encouraged, relief flooding through her. His willingness gave her a boost of confidence as she clapped her hands together. Time flew. Sarah's body ached from the hustle, but her spirit soared. They were cohesive, like different instruments playing a single melody. And every laugh exchanged, every groan of effort, felt like Mabel was right there, smiling down on them, but doubt nagged at the corners of her mind. What if it was not enough? What if the lingering shadow of the rat incident overshadowed their efforts? As she stood by the open door, catching her breath, she spotted the town's mayor passing by, engaged in conversation with a couple of locals. Jack! She exclaimed, her voice bouncing from the walls. Do you think we should invite them in? Show them what we're cooking up? Jack's brow furrowed as he considered it. They might come in if we give them a taste of what's to come. Let us set a little sample table outside. We need to draw the crowd into our energy. Just as they were setting up outside, a soft drizzle began to fall, the kind that put a damper on plans and made people hesitant. Sarah groaned internally, the fear creeping back. Would it deter them from flocking to the diner? Look! Jack pointed out at the street. They're coming. Sarah's heart raced as she watched a small group of families stroll closer. Maybe it wouldn't matter if the rain fell hazily around them. People loved Mabel S. They loved this community. As the first couple of patrons walked in, Sarah felt a surge of hope. She greeted them with an enormous smile. Welcome to Mabel S. You're just in time for a little sneak preview of our cook-off entries. Soon laughter filled the air as they sampled the delicious offerings. Each bite seemed to wash away the fear of yesterday. It was incredible how quickly the atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to joy, but Sarah held her breath. As more customers trickled in, Sarah was almost floating. And yet, something nagged at her. The cook-off was still looming ahead. "Jack, look at them. They're loving it." She beamed, but the anxiety gripped her again. "Do you think it's enough? I mean, when their stomachs are full, will they still think of us for the competition?" He clasped her hand, grounding her nerves once more. "They're here now. That's what matters. We're showing them our heart." Her heart. She closed her eyes briefly, soaking in the warmth of their shared goal, but just as the atmosphere buzzed with hope, the unmistakable sound of thunder rumbled ominously overhead. "Looks like the storm's getting serious," Jack observed, glancing at the darkening sky. "We might need to move fast." Her heart sank again. What if the rain drove everyone away? What if the cook-off went on without them? "Sarah," Jack whispered, his voice firm and unwavering, "we won't let it end this way. We'll bring Mabel's spirit to them, rain or shine." His words sparked a new flame within her. They had to fight till the end. The community was stronger together, and now it was time to shine even brighter. The storm clouded her mind, but she refused to let doubt take hold. "Okay. We have to take this energy inside," she decided, determination crystal clear in her voice. As the first drops hit the pavement outside, she felt that familiar surge of hope mixed with the urgency of time. The cook-off was only minutes away now, and they still had a long way to go. Would the community band together to support them, or would the storm tear them apart? With a flicker of strength igniting in her chest, Sarah turned to face the diner's growing crowd, ready to embrace whatever came next. The moment of truth was coming, and she would not back down. As the rain began to blur the world outside, Sarah's heart thumped in sync with the steady rhythm of droplets against the diner's roof. She stood at the threshold, surveying the faces bathed in the warm glow of hanging lights. Each one flickered with expectation, resembling fireflies captured in a jar, an image of potential that filled her with both exhilaration and fear. "All right, everyone. Time to move it inside," she called out, excitement surging through her. The murmurs from the crowd turned into a swell of chatter, voices layered like the comforting hum of a familiar song. Jack moved to her side, his presence anchoring her swirling emotions. "Let's grab some of those samples for the new patrons. We need to keep the momentum up," he encouraged, a bright smile lighting his features. With a gentle nod, she turned to the kitchen. The aroma of herbs and spices enveloped her, invigorating her senses. It was more than just food, it was heritage and heart. Whatever happened today, Mabel's spirit infused each dish, and she could sense it in her bones. Minutes passed quickly. Sarah and Jack worked side by side, serving bites of creamy macaroni, zesty chili, and sweet peach cobbler to the growing crowd. Each satisfied grin fueled her determination. The storm outside roared, but inside, they laughed and shared stories, reminding her of why they were fighting this battle together. Yet, just as the atmosphere soared with joy, a loud crash echoed from the back of the diner. Sarah's heart lurched. She turned to see Frank, his face pale and eyes wide, standing by a toppled shelf of silverware. I didn't see it there," he stammered. "Hey, no worries. It's just a little mishap," Jack reassured him, bending to help pick up the scattered forks and knives. But she could see the panic creeping into Frank's eyes. "Maybe we should take a moment," Sarah suggested, knowing how anxiety could overwhelm. But just then, a mother stepped forward, cradling her baby against her shoulder, with two toddlers tugging at her skirt. "We came for the cook-off, but this feels like home," she said, her voice melodic amid the clattering chaos. "Thank you for doing this. It means everything." Her words struck a chord deep within Sarah, echoing the very spirit of community they were trying to embody. She breathed in deeply, feeling sunlight peek through the storm clouds of doubt. "Thank you for being here," Sarah replied, her voice unwavering. "We're all in this together." Frank smiled weakly, the tension around him easing just a bit. The kids were already eyeing the tasting plates with wide eyes, curious mouths watering in anticipation. The warmth wrapped around Sarah, igniting a new swell of strength. Maybe they could do this. Even with the storm outside, they could weather anything together. As the cook-off time approached, she gathered everyone around. When we start plating our final dishes, I want each of you to think about the love and hard work behind them. Every meal we create carries a piece of our hearts. The crowd murmured agreement, a chorus of support washing over her. Yet in that moment of unity, doubt flickered in the back of her mind. Could they really showcase that love in front of the judges? And then, just as she was about to speak again, the diner's door swung open with a force that commanded attention. In walked a group of people, unfamiliar faces with serious expressions, drenched from the rain but determined. Instantly, the buzzing atmosphere changed. "Are you the team representing Mabel S?" one of them asked, stepping forward, eyes scanning the room and landing on Sarah. She swallowed hard. "Yes, we are, but we're still preparing." The newcomer nodded, a glimmer of something unreadable behind her gaze. "We came to taste and to judge," she continued, her words hanging heavy in the air. A shiver of anxiety ran through Sarah. The moment of truth had come, but it wasn't just about the cook-off. Would they be judged on more than just the food? And as thunder rumbled ominously overhead, she felt the weight of her heart in her throat. Could they pull this off, in spite of the storm both inside and out? "Jack," she whispered, barely able to keep her voice steady. "What if we're not ready?" But before he could respond, the group of judges moved closer, and Sarah prepared herself for whatever was about to unfold. The judges began to fan out among the tables, their crisp white shirts contrasting sharply with the casual chaos of the diner. Sarah felt the eyes of the room shift from her to the newcomers. She could sense the anticipation hanging thick in the air, like the steam rising from the hot plates. Jack's reassuring presence was still a comfort, but doubt clawed at her. The lead judge, a woman with sharp features and a clipboard clutched tightly, approached Sarah directly. "We'll need to see what you're working on," she said, her voice even but firm. "Of course," Sarah replied, swallowing hard. She motioned for Jack and Frank to join her. "Let us get the final dishes ready." As they moved back into the kitchen, Sarah tried to channel her nerves into action. She could feel the weight of everyone's hopes on her shoulders. The clatter of pots and the sizzling sounds of pans provided a backdrop to her racing thoughts. They needed to impress these judges, not just with the food but with their perseverance and embodiment of everything Mabel had aimed to achieve. "Let us go for a showstopper," Jack suggested, scooping up a serving of the chili. "This is a recipe that always gets positive reactions." Frank nodded rapidly, enthusiasm overcoming his earlier anxiety. "And don't forget to finish off with a slice of the cobbler. It'll bring them back to their childhood." Sarah's heart warmed at the camaraderie that blossomed even in the chaos. "Okay, let us plate beautifully. We want each dish to tell a story." As they worked, Sarah caught snippets of the judges' conversations. Each word felt like a wave crashing over her, stirring her emotions. The baby cradled by the mother was cooing softly, a gentle reminder that families were depending on them. Her heart raced faster, fueled by the desire to create something that would resonate not just with the judges but with everyone who walked through the diner's doors. The final moments in the kitchen were a blur. They plated the creamy macaroni with a sprinkle of parsley, the chili garnished with fresh cilantro, and the peach cobbler oozing warmth into the air. "Remember, each bite should come with a piece of Mabel's heart," Sarah said, her voice stronger now. She felt an electric connection with her team. They were all in this together. Jack, with a plate in hand, glanced at her, his eyes full of determination. "We can do this, Sarah. We're ready." As they emerged back into the dining area, the room was still buzzing with energy. The judges had moved to a table strewn with other dishes, focused and poised. Sarah took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she placed the first plate down. The lead judge studied the dish, turning it this way and that, as if trying to grasp its essence. The seconds stretched endlessly. She took a bite, and Sarah's stomach nodded with anticipation. A smile slowly broke on the judge's face. "Now this," she said, her voice rich with appreciation, "is something special." Cheers erupted from the crowd. The atmosphere shifted from nervous energy to jubilant excitement. Sarah felt a wave of emotion crash over her. Encouragement ignited the collective spirit in the diner, and her heart swelled in gratitude, but before she could bask in the moment, the door swung open again, revealing a tall figure silhouetted against the storm. A stranger, soaked to the skin, stepped inside. Instantly, every eye turned, and Sarah's heart sank. Who was this now? "Is this where I sign up?" the newcomer asked, his voice deep and melodic. "I heard there was a cook-off, and I just want to be part of something real." As Sarah locked eyes with him, she felt an unexplainable pull. What new challenge or opportunity awaited them with this arrival? What did his presence mean for the cook-off and for her? With her heart racing anew, Sarah prepared to find out. The stranger's gaze held steady, and Sarah felt a strange mix of curiosity and caution. Why was he here, dripping wet and fresh off the street? But there was something disarming about him, a sincerity that felt almost magnetic. It felt like he belonged, as if the diner had been waiting for him. Jack, sensing the unease in Sarah's body language, stepped forward. "This is a competition. It's not just for anyone," he said, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his tone. "Jack," Sarah interrupted softly, her voice firm but gentle. "Let us hear him out." She turned her attention back to the newcomer, who was still standing with an eager smile, his enthusiasm bright against the dreary backdrop of rain-soaked clothing. "I'm Chris," he introduced himself, shaking water droplets from his hair. "I cook for my family at home, and I've always dreamt of bringing my dishes to others. This diner, it feels like a place where food has a heartbeat, you know." His smile widened, showcasing the sincerity in his words. Frank, who had been watching silently, spoke up. "And what would you bring to the table?" "Literally." Chris's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Let me show you. I believe food should tell stories, just like you do. I make a mean gumbo and some killer cornbread. Nobody leaves my kitchen without seconds." There was a pause as Sarah assessed the implications. They were just starting to find their footing with the judges. Could they really take on a newcomer now? But deep down, a flicker of hope stirred. What if Chris's energy brought a quality they were missing? What if he was the key to elevating their chances? "Okay, here's the deal," Sarah finally said, her voice steadier now. "If you can whip up a dish that would wow the judges, we'll consider giving you a spot." Chris nodded eagerly, his gaze intense with focus. "You won't regret it." As they maneuvered around the cramped kitchen, space filled with new energy. It felt different now, with the two teams merging into one unified force. Jack and Frank had taken to Chris in an instant, excitedly bouncing ideas off one another. "Let us go with a southern flair," Jack suggested, his inspiration ignited. Chris nodded, immediately jumping into the rhythm of the kitchen alongside Sarah. Minutes slipped by like sugar grains pouring into a bowl. The aroma of spices wafted through the air, mingling with the scent of slow-simmering chili. Each clang of pots echoed with possibility, and laughter erupted over the bubbling gumbo as their collaboration began to gel. Sarah felt a rush of admiration for Chris. He was in his element, cheeks flushed with the heat of the stove and delight. She took a moment to observe him, noticing how he commanded the kitchen with enthusiasm. She felt the shadow of doubt lift from her shoulders. "Just like that, you're reminding us of the joy of cooking, aren't you?" she said lightly, breaking into a smile that he turned to her, a playful glint in his eye. "Only when there's great company." As the dishes began to take shape, excitement electrified the diner. The judges were coming to their table, the anticipation swirling around like the steam from the pots. Sarah's heart raced again, but this time it was charged with something else, a sense of unity. When they finally plated the dishes, Sarah glanced at Chris. "This might just be the start of something special," she said, feeling the weight of fate in her words. The judges returned, their eyes glimmering with curiosity. Sarah stood before them, her heart pounding against her ribcage. "We present to you a collaboration of flavors and stories." But as they served the judges, the door swung open once more. Another person entered the room, seemed to hold its breath. This time, it was a familiar face from Sarah's past. As she turned to face the newcomer, confusion flooded her. What exactly was this evening going to reveal? And what role would fate play in the outcome of the cook-off? The atmosphere thickened as the door creaked open, and Sarah's heart dropped. There stood Emily, her childhood friend, someone she hadn't seen in years. Emily's hazel eyes scanned the room and landed on Sarah, a flicker of surprise breaking her typically calm demeanor. "Sarah?" Emily's voice was soft, almost hesitant. It felt surreal, like stepping back into a long-forgotten memory. "Emily." Sarah's surprise turned to confusion. "What are you doing here?" Without waiting for an answer, Emily stepped inside, shaking rain from her hair. She was drenched but exuded warmth that seemed to fill the diner. "Believe it or not, I'm one of the judges tonight," she said, a playful smirk forming on her lips. Sarah felt a tsunami of emotions wash over her. Old memories floated to the surface, shared laughter, endless dreams, and that one long summer where everything felt possible. And now, here they were, in this bustling diner, on opposing sides of a cook-off. "Wow, talk about a reunion," Chris chimed in, jolting Sarah from her thoughts. He could sense the shift in the room. "You two know each other?" "Sort of," Sarah responded. "We were close back before life took us in different directions." The connection Emily and Sarah once had was strong, but distance and time had dulled the edges. Emily was no longer the girl who shared secrets over ice cream. She was someone who judged culinary talent, a tiny but significant shift that felt like a chasm had opened between them. As the judges gathered around the makeshift judging table, Emily's expression softened. "I hope you're ready to wow me," she said, a hint of challenge in her voice. "It's not just about the flavors." "Then what is it about?" Jack piped up, barely containing his enthusiasm and anxiety. Emily smiled, her confidence radiating. "Food is about the experience, the stories behind it. It's about heart." Chris nodded, his expression earnest. "Then I'm in the right place. That's exactly what we're trying to convey tonight." The energy in the diner buzzed like the summer evenings of their youth. As Emily and the other judges sampled their dish, Sarah's heart raced. She glided over to catch a glimpse of Emily's reaction, only to see her face light up when she took a bite. "It's rich and layered, and the spice is just perfect," Emily exclaimed, drawing murmurs of agreement from the other judges. Sarah couldn't help but share a smile with Chris, who was practically bouncing with excitement. But as a fleeting glance passed between Sarah and Emily, a tension hung in the air. Nostalgia fought with their updated realities, and Sarah felt a pang of vulnerability as if both their pasts and presents were colliding. "Sarah," Emily said suddenly, breaking the spell. "What's your story now? Why did you choose to team up with these guys?" She took a deep breath, unsure where to begin. "I guess I'm searching for a passion I lost somewhere along the way. Cooking was always a dream for me, and I want to bring it back, not just for me but for everyone who walks through these doors." Emily's gaze softened as understanding washed over her face. "You've grown so much. It's amazing to see." Just then, there was a whisper from the judges about the scores, pulling back Sarah's attention. She felt the pressure mount as they moved toward the decision. Would Emily's opinion sway the judges, or would it resurrect memories best left buried? As the judges deliberated, Sarah stood at the edge of the kitchen, battling conflicting feelings. She felt hope, fear, perhaps a little betrayal, and a lot of longing. The stakes had just raised, and the weight of competition mixed with the joy of rekindled friendship. What happened next would determine not just the outcome of the night, but the future for Sarah, Chris, and the diner. Would Emily's presence become a bridge or a wall? The air crackled with anticipation as the judges prepared to announce their decision. Would it bring victory or heartbreak? And what hidden truths about their past would emerge, reshaping all their futures? The room held its breath as the judges huddled, forming a triangle of hushed conversation, while the air simmered with anticipation. Sarah's heart raced, each beat echoing the enormity of what was at stake. Mabel's kitchen was not just a diner, it was her lifeline, a bridge to memories, a testament to love, loss, and potential. Emily's voice cut through the tension. "Let us be honest," she said, "this isn't just about winning or losing. What we've tasted tonight is more than food. It's a connection to something beautiful, a community coming together." Sarah's stomach flipped. This was a sharp reminder of the love and heart that had once drawn her and Emily together. Yet here they stood, both yearning for their own versions of success, playing for different teams in the same game. Would that affect Emily's decision? Jack squeezed Sarah's hand, grounding her. "No matter what, we've shown them who we are," he whispered. "That's what counts." The lead judge cleared her throat, lifting everyone's hopes. "We've come to a decision," she announced, voice steady and resonant. While every dish was wonderful, one stood out not only in flavor but in heart. It told a story that connected us all. The room was alive with expectation, murmurs rising and falling like a tide. Tonight's winning team, showcasing not just culinary talent but profound community spirit, is Sarah's breath hitched. She could feel her family's spirit in the kitchen, the laughter from her kids echoing in her ears, urging her to believe. Mabel's kitchen. The lead judge proclaimed. Cheers erupted, drowning out the storm still raging outside. Sarah felt tears of joy welling in her eyes as she turned to Jack and Chris, their faces illuminated with disbelief and elation. All around them, patrons erupted into applause, their spirits lifted with every sound. Mabel's kitchen had not only survived, it had triumphed, a symbol of resilience and unity. Emily stepped forward, her expression softening as she approached Sarah. "I'm so proud of you," she said, voice full of warmth and sincerity. "You found your voice again, and I can see how much this means to you." "Thank you, Sarah replied, embracing Emily tightly. The familiar comfort of their friendship enveloped her, the bond that had only grown stronger with time. "I didn't expect this reunion, but it feels like just what I needed." Jack grinned, standing beside them. "Tonight was magic, but you're both the real stars here." Chris, who had watched in awe, jumped into the conversation. "I've got to give it to you, Sarah, this is where the magic happens. And I'd be honored to keep cooking with you both." The crowd soon enveloped them, vibrant energy flowing through shared laughter and joy. Mabel's kitchen was alive again, a heartbeat echoing through each person whose life it touched. As the night continued, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Mabel's kitchen had become something more. It wasn't merely a location, it was an experience woven with love, memories, and connection. Together they served, shared stories, and planned future events. The diner transformed into a vibrant hub that welcomed everyone, ensuring Mabel's spirit continued to flourish. And as the evening drew to a close, Sarah stood behind the counter, surrounded by her new makeshift family, radiant with pride. The rain had eased, the storm clouds parting to reveal a star-filled sky. In that moment, she understood her journey couldn't end here. With community by her side and the dreams igniting, Sarah realized she was ready to embrace whatever came next. The past had shaped her, but it was the love of the present that would guide her into the future. "Let us keep this going. Who's ready for the next cook-off?" she called out, laughter bubbling up around them as hands shot into the air. The possibilities felt endless as the future of Mabel's kitchen took shape, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a scrappy mother who found love and strength in the most unexpected place. Now it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation together. We can spread the love. This is the moment to show your support, and remember, true fans understand the importance of uplifting our community through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second.